begin, I just want to go through the evacuation procedures. In the event of an emergency, there are two doors on your left, another one at the front of council chambers here. We would exit the building, cross Middle Road, and wait for further instruction at the school administration building. If we could now please stand for our pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence for our men and women serving in harm's way. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, just a little more housekeeping. We are live streaming tonight. So those of you that are participating with Zoom, there's an icon to raise your hand. If you're calling in on your phone, *9 will indicate to the host that you have a question. *6 will allow you to mute and unmute your phone. And if you're participating remotely or in person tonight, please state your name and address for the town clerk. And with that, we will begin with our roll call.
Mr. Gleason,
Here.
Mr. Hamilton,
Here.
Mr. Levesque,
Here.
Mr. Piera,
Here.
Dr. Ryan,
Here.
and Mr. Aguirre.
Here. Okay. President's executive summary. Before our regular council meeting tonight, we did have an executive session under Rhode Island General Law 42-46-5A5 for the acquisition or lease of real property for public purposes. One vote was taken during executive session. Okay. Now we will move on to the presentation of the Portsmouth Awards, plural. Tonight's a special night. It's where the town you typically would present the Portsmouth Award. Tonight we have two recipients. The award is intended for individuals, business, or a civic group in Portsmouth that has displayed excellence in professionalism and community leadership, exhibits outstanding initiative, inspiration, leadership, and organizational skills, is made or is making significant contributions to the welfare of the community through involvement and participation, and given freely of their time and energy for the betterment of our community. Tonight, we have two recipients that have achieved all of those standards and more. It's really an honor tonight to be able to present both of these awards. I'll give a quick overview and then I will ask each recipient to come to the podium and I'll read a citation at that point. So I'll begin with the Four Hearts Foundation. Over a period of the past 2 years, the foundation was responsible for planning and raising the funds for the complete construction of the new community playground located off Turnpike Avenue. In this past June, the foundation was able to celebrate the grand reopening. So congratulations to all of your hard work. By all accounts, the playground has been a tremendous success. Also receiving the award tonight will be Mr. Jim Knott. Mr. Knott and I go back over 25 years, and it is a pleasure for me to present the award tonight. Mr. Knott has been outstanding member of the community, volunteering with the Portsmouth Youth Soccer, assistant coach for the girls varsity, high school girls varsity soccer team. And for over 23 years on 2 different stints, he's been a member of the Portsmouth Zoning Board of Review. And I had the pleasure of serving with Mr. Knott for over 10 years on that board. And I was able to witness him in action for the better part of 10 years. And a lot of people ask me, how come I'm so comfortable running meetings? I had a great mentor back in my time on the zoning board, and that, prepared me. So thank you for all the tutelage over the years, Mr. Knott. So with that, I would like to begin with the first reading. If someone from the Four Hearts Foundation. Thank you. Okay, so here we go. Recognizing Four Hearts Foundation. whereas the Portsmouth Award acknowledges outstanding individuals, businesses, and civic groups that consistently exhibit excellence in professional and community leadership. And whereas the town of Portsmouth is fortunate to have dedicated volunteers who, through their commitment, enhance the overall quality of life within our community. And whereas the Four Hearts Foundation spearheaded fundraising efforts to create a playground that is handicap accessible, adaptable, and appropriate for all ages and abilities, from being wheelbound to being autistic. And whereas the Four Hearts Foundation helped foster community involvement and participation to create a new and improved Turnpike Avenue playground. And whereas the 2024 Portsmouth Award is hereby presented to the volunteers of the Four Hearts Foundation. Now therefore be it resolved that the Portsmouth Town Council extends its heartfelt appreciation, congratulations, and profound gratitude on behalf of the entire Portsmouth community.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for this award on behalf of the Four Hearts Foundation. I think we deem it a success. Every time we drive by, there's lots and lots of cars there and happy kids and happy families. And we really had a great time doing it. So it was a privilege to do so. And we look forward to many more events and other community projects to improve the island that we love. Thank you.
Mr. Knott, please come up. Thank you, sir. James E. Knott. Whereas the Portsmouth Community Service Award acknowledges outstanding individuals, businesses, and civic groups that consistently exhibit excellence in professional and community leadership. And whereas Mr. Knott, as a town resident, military veteran, has supported the town of Portsmouth for over 46 years as a member of the Zoning Board of Review, a youth soccer coach, girls' high school soccer coach, high school basketball scorekeeper, as well as founder of the Portsmouth Youth Soccer Association. And whereas Mr. Knott was a member of the Portsmouth Zoning Board of Review from June 1997 to December 2010, and then again from May 2014 to August 2024. During that time, he served as the chair for 6 years, where he spent countless hours reviewing documents, drawings, technical reports, zoning ordinances, as well as looking at properties in question that came before the Zoning Board of Review. And whereas the 2024 Portsmouth Award is hereby presented to James Knott. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Council extends its sincere thanks and congratulations on behalf of the citizens of Portsmouth to James E. Knott.
You guys would like to say a few words? Yeah, I will. Try not to get emotional, try to be quick. My parents would be proud because this is how I was raised. I was raised to give back to the community that gave to you and never ask what's in it for me. Also, I couldn't have done a lot of this without my wife for 48 years, Linda, who supported me. So thank you all.
Not only do you get the Portsmouth Award,
I
but
get
you
a
also
town
gets the town
title.
title. So again,
Uh,
thank you for all of your support.
Thank you very much.
We get- All right, sir.
I think I gotta hold this one.
You want to, I'll hold the tile. Let me. hold
Okay,
it.
you hold the towel. And then you gotta come up. I gotta get, Leah wants a picture. You can hold the tile.
Now would be the great opportunity. I don't think you want to stick around. Thank you again. Okay. We'll move back now to our consent agenda.
The president move passage of the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Moved, we got one peddler's license, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll be sitting
Right.
at, yeah. Board of License Commissioners.
Move to approve the AP Food Services Corporation do business as Mac and Cheese and Pizza at 60 Manmar Drive, Billingville. You know, I think we started, gotta sit, having these guys bring in samples before we approve these things. Yes, be appropriate. Mac and cheese pizza.
Please.
Oh, please.
All right.
Glasses on.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I'm sorry,
6.
who was the second?
I was,
Okay,
It was a
thank you.
tie over the cheese.
Mr. President, I move that we adjourn at the Board of License Commissioners.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Next, we have minutes from our August 13th meeting.
Mr. President, move they be accepted as printed.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Next, we have our town administrators report. Mr. Rayner.
Good evening, Mr. President, Town Council, ladies and gentlemen. The installation of the conductor casings for the Enbridge pipeline replacement project to accommodate the pilot drill for crossing beneath the riverbed wrapped up last week. There'll be one conductor casing installed on each side of the river. Additionally, Enbridge has continued mobilizing and staging equipment and supplies. They've completed an active bird nest survey on both sides of the river. They completed stormwater discharge inspections. They mowed and removed vegetation in planned work areas. They installed a construction entrance off of Wampin Road. They installed a perimeter erosion control and temporary private fencing around the site. The plan remains to complete construction this year, so there'll be more information that's coming. We will make sure that that is posted to our website, and there's a link to an information overview about the project also available on the town planner webpage. With respect to the senior center, or the Ade Bethune House, now that the ground leases have been executed and the septic system approved, church community will secure final financing, and we anticipate the construction to begin shortly. The Portsmouth Little League will secure any property remaining in a storage shed at the ball field. And DPW has relocated the aluminum bleachers to the Island Park Playground and the scoreboard to the fields at East Main. We expect fencing to be placed around the planned construction site later this week. I met with the Director of Broadband Strategy at the Rhode Island Commerce Corporation last week to discuss future broadband connectivity for Prudence Island. Rhode Island Commerce is the lead agency tasked to ensure that all Rhode Island obtains broadband connectivity and is working to develop a solution for Prudence Island. The first round of federal broadband equity access and deployment, BEAD, funding will concentrate on fiber connectivity. That connectivity solution, however, will not likely include Prudence Island, as it'll be cost prohibitive to lay fiber underneath the bay. However, there are technologies that Rhode Island Commerce is exploring that will deliver high-speed internet in accordance with the BEAD standards to unserved areas not served by fiber. The assurance from Rhode Island Commerce is that Prudence Island connectivity is one of their highest priorities and will be addressed either concurrently with the first round of BEAD funding or in the second round. So this, come hell or high water, there's going to be broadband access on Prudence Island, whether it be through the BEAD funding process or through another process that they're exploring. I'll keep the council and the Prudence Island Planning Commission informed as this initiative matures. The Navy is requesting community input on the Environmental Restoration Program and Community Involvement Plan. For those interested, we ask that you please consider completing the questionnaire at the link available on the front page of our website. And we ask that that be done by Friday. The Navy will use the survey results to assess community knowledge and interest in the Navy's environmental restoration program at the Naval Station and to update the Navy's community involvement plan. Additionally, the Rhode Island Public Transport Authority, RIPTA, is seeking participation in a survey to collect input and feedback regarding transportation safety. That survey is open and is available on our website. That survey is open till September 30th. That link can be found on our website under the news and announcements section. And then lastly, Town Hall will be closed next Monday, September 2nd, in observance of Labor Day. And Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Rayner.
Just one question, Mr. Administrator. The broadband connectivity for Prudence, is that going to bypass the tower that's been installed at the transfer station? Is that just a second different way
Yeah,
to?
that's an entrepreneur who is offering broadband, well, he's offering internet connectivity to Prudence Island, but it's not broadband. And it doesn't meet the standards as dictated by the BEAD program. So Rhode Island, and it only covers a small portion of the island. The Quinnic Island portion. The initiative that Rhode Island Commerce is looking for, they're looking at new technology that will essentially make broadband accessible to all the residents, regardless of where they live. Also, the research center, and the fire station and the schoolhouse that are there.
So I guess the question is, will we still go forward with that project? That is the,
Well,
Initial
that's not a town project. That's an individual who
oh, I'm
has,
sorry. I thought it had to do with the town.
no, he was given permission to put a tower next to the transfer station, but it's his own business.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Moving on, we have resignations and appointments.
Mr. President, I would move that. I'm trying to think of, is there a resignation here?
Nope, it's appointments. First
Okay,
one is
that the
discovery.
three reappointments be approved as requested.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6 to
Mr.
0.
President, I've reviewed the request for the new appointment. I know there were some issues before about when openings up, but I move his acceptance, his
Mhm.
request is very heartfelt.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 6 to 0. Thank you. We're going to move on now to old business, monthly finance report. Ms. Marsden?
Good evening, Mr. President and Honorable Council. Tonight I'll be reporting on both June and July. As of August 8th, the town has completed the fiscal year 2024. Please keep in mind that these are unaudited numbers. Year-to-date general fund revenues were at 101.73% of the total budget. Primary sources are fourth quarter tax receipts, real estate transfer fees, interest income, and building receipts. Year-to-date general fund expenditures were at 96.53 of the total budget, with total encumbrances of 0 due to closure of all POs. Primary underspending was in salaries and benefits, as well as transfers out that were budgeted in general fund expenses, but classified as a transfer out journal entry. Year-to-date transfers out totaled $2,527,768. These were funding transfers of bond interest on the 2022 E-bond, capital improvement, planning contract services, and property revaluation services. This also included the 50%, which was $499,955 of the FY 23 surplus transferred to the warrants 1213 fund, and $370,000 of the FY 23 surplus to fund the police retention program. We anticipate finishing the fiscal year with a surplus, although the final amount will not be known fully until after the audit is completed. As of today, we have submitted 71% of requested documentation for the auditors, and they have already started work. As of the end of July, the town was 1 month or 8.3% through fiscal year 2025. Year-to-date general fund revenues were at 5% of the total budget. Primary sources, real estate transfer fees, state aid, interest income, and building receipts. Year-to-date general fund expenditures were at 8.5% of total budget, which is net of total encumbrances of 55.8 million. These represent most of our non-discretionary spending, such as salaries, benefits, and contractual obligations for the year. When budgeting for FY '25, we budgeted all transfers as a transfer out expense control as opposed to a departmental expense. This was to correctly capture transfers per audit recommendation. You will notice this at the end of each general ledger report. On July 1st, we transferred out $755,860 to fund the capital improvement plan and property revaluation services. July revenues were comparable to this time in prior years, and as expected, the month following quarterly tax payments. Expenditures were primarily driven by civic support, insurance premiums, and funding of capital improvement and property revaluation. Thank you.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we receive the reports and place them on file.
Second.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Okay. We're gonna move on the first item under new business. It's a public hearing. It's a request from Andrew Jones for approval for a variance to the sound limits set forth in the Portsmouth noise ordinance for a Halloween block party for the Taylor Road and Copper Beach neighborhood in the Taylor Road cul-de-sac on October 26th, 2024, from 12 to 8 p.m. Do we have any? Yeah.
Andrew Jones, 122 Wapping Road. So each year we've had the block party and it's been a success the past few years that we've had it. Last year it went off without a hitch, so we're looking for the same good time.
Okay. This is a public hearing, so we're just seeing if there's any comments, questions, concerns. Chief?
Mr. President, members of the council, the police department doesn't have any objections to this event. There was no issues last year, as Mr. Jones has stated. My comment tonight is in reference to the decibel level.
Could I ask you a couple of-
Sure. My comment tonight is reference to the decibel level. A couple of meetings ago, a few meetings ago, when then sound variance was on it, the council had tasked the planning and the police department to come up with a recommendation for a decibel level for this. We looked at several ordinances and around the state, and our recommendation would be that the sound limit for this and future sound variances would be 75 decibels. So 75 decibels is based on what Providence does in the city of Providence for any sort of amplified music. Now, that may sound low. I know some higher numbers were put out there in the past, but I think if you look at the if you read the actual ordinance, so when the police department takes a reading, the reading is based on the receiving land use. So I know some numbers are put out there, maybe 90 decibels. When we are taking the reading, we are going from the complainant's address, and we are standing at the property line, and we are taking a reading from that point. So based on that, 75 decibels, if 75 decibels crosses the border into that receiving land use, if it's over 75 decibels, that would be a violation. So the decibel reading is not based on the output of the event itself. The decibel reading for enforcement is based on the receiving land use, what crosses over, and that's where the police department takes a reading. So the police department and the planning department discussed it, and our recommendation would be 75 decibel limit for the sound variance.
Chief, Mr. Solicitor, can we do this on an ad hoc basis? I know we are essentially waiving the sound ordinance. Can we institute a different level for the sound?
Yeah, I mean, it's just
Okay.
a question of doing it, instead of having unlimited, you just giving them a variance up to a certain cap.
I believe actually it was Mr. Gleason who spoke about trying to limit that range.
Yes, well, that's a great idea, Chief. Thank you for bringing that up. I always thought it was at the edge of the property of the person that was projecting the noise level. So thank you for that clarification. It may pose some problems for other venues, but I think we should just handle this, you know, we're already through the season with the other people. We could handle this one individually, and I don't have a problem with 75 dB. Sounds great.
And if there's an issue, it doesn't work, by all means, I'll be happy to
Yeah.
come back and discuss it on future sound variances, how it works in the past.
Thank you, Chief.
Do you have any concerns with that limit, sir?
We have no concerns with that limit.
Okay. Mr. President, if there's no other remonstrations, I would move approval of the request for the sound ordinance very.
Gotta close the public hearing.
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Oh,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
I get ahead of myself. What can I say? Now you. Unfortunately, you're here to bring me back to earth, Steve.
You gotta make the motion to approve the variance for the.
Yeah,
block hearing.
I'm closing, okay, I would now move the motion. I really don't have my hearing aids in, I am having problems, but I would now, if the hearing is closed, move that we approve the request with the caveat that the decibel level at the offending or the offended site would be no more than 75 decibels.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. All set. Thank you.
So,
Okay.
You have to know your hearing aids.
So
if
So-
if you think we had fun with that one, let's wait for the next one.
the next one is to discuss continued Portsmouth presence in the Aquidneck Island Planning Commission. Mr. Levesque?
Mr. President, I have had actually some contact from the current head of the Aquidneck Island Development Commission, who indicates he is quite unwell from a bout with COVID. Essentially, we are here tonight because there is some concern about the continuing viability of the Aquidneck Island Planning Commission. I've had different conversations with not members of the council, but with people in the community indicating that they may feel that the commission has run its course, that the communities have developed another way to deal with what I consider very preeminent problems, which quite frankly, the Aquidneck Island Planning Commission with the Navy involved, transportation, energy, there was another one. Refuse disposal, all are things that we should be, I think, working on together. Long way of leading into, I believe that I'm gonna ask this matter to be continued. But with the understanding that it may well be that this council will be looking to wind up the activity of the Aquidneck Island Planning Commission. I would note that I am the council liaison to it. So I guess I'm requesting that we table it for another meeting.
23rd was Mr. Johnson's request.
What's that?
The 23rd was Mr. Johnson. 23rd, September 23rd.
September 23rd.
Mr. President, I also spoke with Mr. Johnson real quick. In order to wind down and clean up what is the AIPC, they do need a functioning board to do that. And I do have concerns that if it's not done properly, there may be backlash to the towns. So I want to make sure that this is done properly, it's wound down, and we don't get in trouble with it, but we can't take any action tonight other than tabling it because of the way it's written. It's just discussion. So we don't have any action anyway. So I think when we put it back on the agenda for the 23rd, it needs to be discussion and action specifically on agenda.
And if I could, 2.1 is that at that time, we should have the ability to appoint, if in fact it's needed for a quorum, somebody to the commission. I also want to be very clear on the fact that there has been a great deal of work done in bringing a dormant commission to a point of actually being prepared to act. So I don't want to cast any aspersions on any of the people involved in it. But it seems like the the folks they need to work with have followed a different direction during the dormancy, and they are quite comfortable with where they are. So, we may, blaming no one, be obliged to actually just find another course.
Did I second it?
I think so.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second to continue the item until our September 23rd meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Moving on to new business number 3, it's request approval to use $14,444 from the National Opioid Settlement Funds for the purchase of a Hantevi EMS mobile application. Chief Ford, little help?
That was
That was good?
pretty good.
All right, okay.
Close enough. Good evening, Mr. President, honorable council members. I'm here tonight asking that you authorize the expenditure of funds for the initial purchase and upkeeping of the Hantevi mobile app. When our EMT cardiacs and paramedics are on the scene with medical patient, they often have to administer medications, and in that they have to come up with dosing requirements. When it comes to pediatrics and young children, this becomes even more of an issue because of varying sizes of those children. And now they have to convert kilograms and pounds and doses. The Hantevi app, while it's good for any age, it's especially important for children and pediatrics. By punching in a few variables, it gives them the proper dosing of those medications. It will be available on the laptops that are in each medical rescue, on the engine, and on their individual cell phones. It also has a couple other features, like you push one button and it will give you the CPR beat to go with, tell you when to ventilate, keep going with the beat. It will also upload the information to our reporting system. So they administer a dose, touch a button, that all gets uploaded on a time stamp to our information or our reporting system. When I first learned about this app, we talked about it a few times, and we had a meeting with Dr. Lowell, who's our medical control director. And this was just one topic that came up. I asked him if he was familiar with it and what he thought of it, its value. He pulled out his phone, called up the app, and said to me, "I'll be using this tonight in the ED." So he's very familiar with it. He thinks it's a great tool. We also live in a world now, as we all know, the drug overdoses happen accidentally, can be with prescription drugs, can be with fentanyl. There are cases where people have been overdosed just by picking up a dollar bill that had fentanyl on it. About 80% of those situations with children arise in their home. So this is just another tool that will help our firefighters be more efficient in getting the right doses and help with the safety of our residents.
Motion to approve.
Yeah, the second, I mean,
Second.
you've got a child who's asphyxiating and you've got hysterical parents in the room. That is not a good time to be doing arithmetic.
Correct.
So, yeah, that this is a no-brainer.
And Mr. President, may I be indulged for a matter of personal privilege? I just wanted to note, I think I directed a comment to both the chief and to the administrator. I had the opportunity to avail myself of the rescue service several weeks ago, and I wanted to comment about how professional, how cordial, and actually the other thing is how I was not really that concerned, but they kept the entire tenor of the event to a way that made me feel less concerned. And so it was very, very well done, and I really admire and appreciated both the professionalism and the cordiality of your men. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you, Chief.
very much.
All right, we're going to move on. We have another public hearing. This one is to consider proposed amendments to the codification of ordinances, chapter 243, littering. Okay. Let everybody rush.
Mr. President, if I could just give some background on this. Sure. This was an offshoot of, I guess, a meeting that Mr. Rayner had, going back to July of 2023 concerning, the issues underneath the Secundit River Bridge with some of the behaviors that take place down there. The items that were brought up at that time were trespassing issues, parking issues, trash issues, noise, fires, alcohol consumption, boating, right away. So we got quite a list here. First responder access was also one of the issues mentioned. So basically, being a liaison to the Harbor Commission, a subcommittee was formed and decided to work together to try and come up with some options to present to the town to help with this behavioral issues. So what they tackled was the littering for starters. So what we've done what they've done is look at other towns' ordinances and try and pick the best items that Newport, Middletown, other parts of the state have used for their ordinance. We went from a 2-page ordinance to, I guess we've got 2-paragraph ordinance, I should say, to 2 pages and several sections that we've added, specifically the definitions. The prohibited acts was changed and lengthened. And probably the biggest area was for enforcement of violations and penalties, which would give our municipal court and the police department some options on how to fine a person that's convicted or violating our littering ordinance. So that's basically how we got here. This ordinance was reviewed by Ms. Hitchens and our legal counsel as well, and also the police department. So I think they put together a fine example of an ordinance that I think we've been lacking. And this is a start, Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gleason. Again, this is a public hearing.
Mr. President.
Sure.
It is, I think, a well crafted and drafted document. I do think I was originally looking at it, and that a fine might go up to $5,000. Struck me as a little bit, but quite frankly, if somebody does something really disastrous, perhaps that's the proper thing to do. I don't think I've ever heard or seen a municipal court doing that. The one thing I would want to say, and this goes back to a query that I think I directed to everyone. It is all well and good to say you shan't do something, or you cannot do something, or you should not do something. But if you have not provided people an opportunity to do something else, that's somewhat problematic. And in this statute, it very clearly says that littering includes everything, but not if you put it in a disposal receptacle that is not designed to be blown away by the elements. And that is A2, blue lettering on page 1. And I guess I just want to give a heads up. It would be my desire that where we see problems like this, we may want to somehow do a permanent establishment of some sort of ability for people to get rid of their trash. Enforcement is one thing. And just very quickly, if you go down through Island Park right now, there's a sign there about your speed limit. If you go below the limit, it says thank you. And I love that, because essentially it's saying, hey, you're screwing up. Oh, okay. And that, I think if you're telling people, and there are signs all over the place, don't litter. If you have a little place over there going, oh, that's where you can put all this stuff, there's a virtue to that. So I'm just kind of forewarned as for, that will be a direction I will hope to go toward some point. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lebec. Any further comments from the public? There's nothing, nobody's online.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
I'm just, the path that you may want to go down, It is a path that the state doesn't use. Most cities and towns don't use anymore. And hopefully we are teaching people personal responsibility that when they go to the beach or go fishing, that they bring their trash home with them. I walked the beach today and picked up trash left behind and threw it away. So I am hoping that this gives us the ability to have our police department, who are overworked, the ability to hold some of these folks who are not behaving in the right way, to behave the right way, and that word spreads that you can't litter anymore enforcement.
The philosopher Anatoly France once mentioned that the equanimity, the fairness of the law is that it prevents both the rich and the poor from stealing bread, from sleeping under bridges, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, if I've got my house right on the water, chances are I'm not gonna throw anything in it. Okay, if I'm coming from another area or something, or from even the middle of town and I get there, now, personal responsibility is a wonderful thing. I would say that the people running for office on your party have not demonstrated any of it in their lifetime. But I will support this, and I will be down there yelling at people to be personally responsible. And
I look forward to you being down there.
Republicans.
No, all right.
Look
So
forward
we
to
have,
being down
we have a motion and a
No.
second? No?
Oh, I
Nope.
second it. Didn't
I-
I second it? Oh.
I will make a motion to approve the new litter ordinances as
No.
presented.
It's a good
Second, and as a Republican, I respect these types of things. I dispose of my trash at home, so I don't want to be lumped in the Republican category of those that don't.
I think that was more towards personal responsibility.
Yeah.
All right,
But I
okay.
think that goes both sides, that there's a
I
lot
would-
of non-personal
agree.
responsibility going on both sides of the aisle.
This is a fine idea and then it clarifies what's, allowed and what isn't. But the problem is that people are going to ignore this, or they're not going to ignore it. And we don't have the police presence to be able to patrol every beach, every green wooded lot, every by road. We'll just have to see how this goes. We tried doing it both with policing. We've tried by putting receptacles in public areas. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to instruct people who are already adults in personal responsibility, and any system, any solution we come up with is prone to abuse. So we'll try this and we'll see how it goes, but I don't expect humanity to suddenly behave in a responsible and better way.
You
Just
slap
because we-
somebody with a $500 fine, they might, and that word gets around, they'll think
But-
twice.
Let's hope you're right.
No, it's,
I would just like to add, sadly, I agree with your comment, but if you look at the original ordinance, there wasn't any teeth behind it to do anything. Should you have the occasion where you find somebody, that rare occasion when you see them littering, you can actually, arrest them for it.
Something is better than nothing.
Exactly.
yes.
Can I just, and I don't want to belabor the point too much, but what I discovered in the legislature in particular, as we started passing laws, that the major way that we get compliance with our laws is voluntary compliance. Okay, and if you don't have an ability to obey the law, the chances are you won't. But certainly you have to make sure people know they're not supposed to do something, and hopefully that will temper their behavior. I can't disagree with the notion.
All right. So we do have a motion and a second.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Future meetings, our next meeting will be September 9th, followed by September 13th.
23rd.
I'm sorry, 23rd. I don't know where that came from.
I don't know.
And
Two meetings in 1 week.
October 15th, which is the Tuesday. That's everything.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you all. Oh, I don't know.